For 24 years, one league has stood the test of time. The Mile High Affiliates Podcast. Stories of triumph and heartbreak, told through 24 years of fantasy football. But the past was just the warm-up. Year 25 is here, and it is going to be epic.
And freaking-tastic.
I am the god when it comes to the rules.
I am a hater on Jordan Love.
I was shitting on Sam Darnold like no other.
They're a team that doesn't want to eat their vegetables.
Happy I got 5 championships.
You are listening to the MHA Podcast.
Woo! Goosebumps. How about that? Welcome to the 25th season of the Mile High Affiliates Fantasy Football League, and we're here to bring you another year of the MHA Podcast featuring yours truly, Eric Lansing, along with Mike Urano and Todd Diamond. What's up, fellas? We started this league in 2001, and we're still doing it 25 years later. Mikey, what's going on?
Oof. It's crazy to think it's been that long, and I got to tell you, great job on that intro. That doesn't get you pumped. I don't know it does.
I don't know if we'll play it every week. Maybe we will. I don't know. I feel like it's a little long, but it's pretty cool too. Yeah, you think about 25 years, that is what, a fourth of a century? That is crazy. 25 years. Todd, how we doing?
Fantastic. Ready to, ready to talk fantasy football. Again, for as long as this league has stand the test of time. And again, I came in this league in 2010, and like how unique this league is, and just, obviously, talking football with you guys and, and everything like that, watching football every Sunday, and just, and all the epic, I would say epic, seasons that we've had in this league, and title games and stuff like that. It's been amazing. Like I always say, I'm very, 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 very grateful that I'm in this league. So,
and it's not a bad segue either. When you talk about all the epic seasons we had, we're actually going to be ranking the 24 champions from 24 to the number one team that we think was the best MHA championship team of all time. And so, Mikey, kind of talk about what you did on your end to kind of start this process, and how do you think this is all going to kind of lay out in terms of bringing folks on to kind of talk about their teams?
Well, I think the idea is entering its 25th year. It's a good way to reflect back on the amazing past that we've had in this league with all the different members that we've had, and coming up with this list of 24 greatest champions. Quite an undertaking. There's a lot involved in the process. When you think about it, like 24 years, like how do you even go back and remember, 5 years ago, more or less, 20. So yeah, I've been taking the time to kind of go through each season and like really dig in, look at these teams, and I've created some docs and spreadsheets for us to kind of look over with some stats and things to, kind of get down to the nitty gritty, come up with this list to share with everybody. And yeah, and then what our plan is obviously to hopefully have on as many of these champions to talk about their teams that won in the past, which will just be great to kind of jog their memory about it.
Yeah, kudos to Miguel for going through. I think it's really cool that Yahoo has been able to have as much history in its memory bank or server or whatever you want to call it, for us to go back and look at some of that stuff. And we have some of our own records, and I did the Lemonsville Times kind of newsletter, I guess you can say, and then some of this podcast stuff, we're looking at outline stuff, but the website's done a really good job with that. And so hopefully if you won a championship, you'll be on here. If you didn't win a championship, be better, win one. No, I'm just kidding. I feel rough.
I thought you were gonna say. I thought you were gonna say, but still, come on to the podcast.
No, you don't deserve to be on there. You don't have a championship, so it'll be fun to kind of go through that. I think we're gonna start it next week. If we get caught up and we can't do it, then we'll try to do it the following week. But we'll kind of keep you up to date with that. We're hoping to have some fun at the draft. We've already kind of discussed that in terms of it'll be the day before Labor Day. That's kind of the norm time. We're going to do it at Metro. So ready for year 25. Incredible. So what's coming up on the first podcast of the 2026-2027 season? Well, we're going to talk about all the major movement from the NFL offseason and let you know which one of them are going to be fantasy football worthy here. And we'll start with the signal callers. So we'll start with Kyler Murray, who spent 7 years in Arizona. The former first-round pick heads to just his second NFL destination in his career in Minnesota. The J.J. McCarthy experience may not be providing any hope for the quarterback position for the Vikings. I'm not sure if it's totally dead, considering the money they paid Kyler Murray, which is a 1 year, $1.3 million prove-it deal. And so we'll see, but it sounds like he's going to be slated at the starter. So, guys, do we feel like Murray is the starting quarterback for the Vikings, and is he fantasy worthy in our system for 2026? I will talk with Todd first.
Well, obviously, we always talk about, change of scenery definitely sometimes helps a lot, especially, quarterbacks trying to get a second chance. I mean, obviously, we've seen flashes of Kyler Murray. Obviously, what he did in Arizona. I mean, he put up a lot of big numbers. But obviously injuries and everything, kind of derailed a little bit the last few years. He goes to Minnesota now where, plays in a dome at, might help a little bit too. And he gets to throw to one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, and Justin Jefferson. So I would say as of right now, I agree. Yes, you have to slate him as the number one quarterback just going into training camp as well. See what, obviously he is capable, of getting wins and putting up high numbers for fantasy football, and so forth. So again, am I having him as my starter? No, but as a maybe viable backup, I would definitely have to think about it. So I'm definitely on that. Let's see if he can maybe restart his career a little bit and get back on track.
Mikey, how are you feeling about Kyler Murray? We saw what that offense can do for quarterbacks. We obviously saw the Sam Darnold experience and what that did for him. Are we getting those kind of same vibes, or are we going to kind of see some middling fantasy? Maybe he's a weekly streamer if he's got the right matchup. How are you feeling about him?
I'm thinking more along the lines of weekly streamer. Like, I almost feel like they want J.J. McCarthy to be the starter. Doesn't mean it'll happen, but I mean, they put the draft capital into him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I believe that ultimately that would be what they would want. I mean, they brought in Kyler Murray, I think, as kind of like a backup plan. They obviously didn't invest in him as if he was their future. I hope that Kyler Murray is the option there, because I think that gives more hope to Justin Jefferson going forward. We've seen players have success with Kyler Murray in the past as number one receivers, but I would say that there's potential upside for him if he gets the job.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with Todd that if he is the starter, I would have him as a streamer, but there's potential for him to be a backup with that potential upside.
So this kind of leads me to my next question. We'll talk about wide receivers, so we're not going to get too deep into the weeds, but do we feel better about Justin Jefferson's stock? Obviously, he's a guy that in the past has shown he could kind of be quarterback. I don't know what the word I can't think of it anymore, but it didn't matter who his quarterback was. And then last year we saw that kind of happen as he finished 23rd. and amongst wide receivers and played in 17 games. So do we feel better about Kyler Murray as the quarterback for Justin Jefferson?
Yes, I do.
Mikey, you kind of said it a little bit. I think so. I think
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I would say yes. We saw Christian Kirk's best year with Kyler Murray. We saw DeAndre Hopkins have a great year with Kyler Murray. So I mean, I feel like yeah, if Kyler Murray is in there, I think that here's what I would say. So I think people are going to be down on Justin Jefferson given the fact that he wasn't up to his normal standards last year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just given how bad that quarterback play was last year. We saw, they almost got Carson Wentz killed, and then that Max Brosmer guy might have been the worst QB in the league.
Yeah. I don't know.
If it's Kyler, I would say that Justin Jefferson, I don't see any way he goes in the first round no matter what, just given what he did last year. Maybe I'm wrong. But at the very least, if Kyler's there, I would say, mid to early second round is a possibility. If it's not Kyler, I would venture to say that maybe he's third round.
JJ McCarthy wins the preseason battle, then you're not feeling as good about it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll get to a little more Justin Jefferson when we get to the wide receivers, but it's obviously that's the more fantasy relevant. I think we all think Kyler Murray's more of a backup quarterback, maybe streamer worthy, maybe a quarterback in that same realm. We'll kind of have to see. Kirk Cousins also trying to battle for the number one spot with the Las Vegas Raiders. Obviously, he comes over from Atlanta. With him, obviously with the new quarterback, the first quarterback drafted overall this year in Mendoza. Depending on how the offensive coordinator and the head coach feel about putting Kirk Cousins in there ahead of Mendoza, because he may not be ready quite yet, but he could end up holding on to that job. We've seen good, we've seen bad from Kirk Cousins. Mikey, how are we feeling about Cousins with Las Vegas? Obviously, there's some great weapons with Brock Bowers and AJ Genty. Where are we kind of gauging on this Kirk Cousins guy who just got paid 5 years and $172 million?
Now, technically, that's what the contract says, but it's actually a very low-risk deal. There's team options after every season.
Oh, okay.
So it's really like a one-year deal that they can stretch if they want to, if it works.
Gotcha.
Same boat. Like, to me, again, you're looking at, like, Cousins hasn't been good in a little while. So again, I think with him, you're looking at a streamer. Like, he's in that situation where they want to play, their first overall pick. And so I think there's a good chance that Cousins starts out the year.
Mm-hmm.
But given that they're the Raiders in a very tough division, I think Cousins could even play well for a little bit. And then, but the Raiders are losing, and then they decide to make the move at some point, maybe like early mid-season, somewhere around there. The weapons I like. I mean, I think we know Cousins loves tight ends, and now he's got one of the best ones in the league. And even though Genty was like not as good as I think everybody thought last year, I think they spent a ton of money on offensive line. And brought in, Kubiak, who brings in that Shanahan system, which is a proven, that zone blocking, which works. So I think they'll be better there too. So, yeah, I mean, low risk streamer.
His wide receivers are a little less to be desired. If you talk about like Trey Tucker and Jalen Naylor, I guess, but there's obviously some other weapons that could prove to be fantasy worthy. Todd, quickly here, if you were to be an owner of Bowers or Genty, would you prefer to see Kirk Cousins at quarterback or Mendoza?
Mendoza. Like I know, like you said, we've seen the good, we've seen the bad of Kirk Cousins, but no, you if you really believe in Mendoza and you drafted him number one overall, and I mean, I mean, is he a once in generational quarterback? No, that we haven't seen that one. We haven't seen a quarterback that in a while. But I'm just not. I'm sticking with Mendoza. I think Mendoza will win the job. And he'll be day one. He'll be the quarterback when the season opens up.
I don't want to get too deep into this because this is more of a streamer type of guy. But look at Cam Ward did, who is supposed to be a generational. He didn't do much fantasy wise either. So
true, but he didn't have.
I don't know if I'm banking just because he's supposed to be. He was the number one quarterback selected that he should be the better quarterback that's going to put up better fantasy stats than Kirk Cousins. I mean, you hope, and they hope. But I mean, there's a reason why they brought in Kirk Cousins too to kind of.
But Cam Ward doesn't have the weapons that Mendoza has, though. That's the thing.
I guess that's probably true, but
and a better offensive line.
If Cam Ward was supposed to be one of the best, I mean, you mentioned he's the guy. He was one of those guys that supposed to be a difference maker. He's supposed to be a once in a generation type of guy, but he didn't do much with those fantasy. But you're right; the weapons are different. Just continuing here because we have a couple more quarterbacks, and maybe we'll with running backs and wide receivers. We'll go quickly here in terms of Tua Tagovailoa, Miami from Miami to Atlanta. So Cousins leaving the ATL. The Falcons signed Tua to a 1-year minimum league deal to back up Penix, although Penix is coming off his third ACL tear. Anything we want to say fantasy-wise here for Tua, Miguel?
I don't know why, but
Oh, don't do it.
No, please. Let's just move on. Please move on.
Wait a second.
I want him to say something. If he's got something.
You don't even know what I'm going to say.
Okay.
All right. So I believe that in Atlanta, Tua has the weapons, but for some reason, I feel like the situation's worse somehow. Like, I would convince myself in the past that, there was something there for Tua because of this, with Tyreek and Jalen Waddle and Achane, like they had all these horses, they played fast pace, and maybe that's what it is now he's going to Atlanta. He's got Bijan, Drake London, and Todd's favorite Kyle Pitts, but I don't know, it's a team that plays at a much slower pace. So he'll start the season because I don't think Penix is going to be ready.
I agree with you on that front.
But again, he's one concussion away from being done for his career. So
yeah, it's true too. But yeah, the weapons. I mean, let's face it. He had better. Yeah, is Jan Robinson better overall because he's one of the best running backs in the league? But he had a better overall wide receiver core in Miami. And we'll have offensive weapons better overall offensive weapons in Miami than he does in in Atlanta. But yeah, it's a good point though that they do play a little bit slower.
Do we want to talk about Geno Smith?
No,
Mikey.
Wow, that was fast. I mean, all I'll say for the Jets is, it's gotta. I'm not a Geno Smith fan, but it's got to be better than what they've been rolling with, last year.
Has to be Justin Fields. It's pretty, and then I don't know. The Jets are the Jets. They never seem to be able to catch a break. Geno Smith, 19 touchdowns, 17 picks last year. Can he do anything? I don't know. I don't think we'll see too much. And Malik Willis, the last quarterback to switch teams that I have on my list here, Green Bay to Miami. Anything you want to say about that, gentlemen?
It's interesting. He did a good job when he was in there for Jordan Love when he was hurt. Maybe Miami is banking on maybe we can catch lightning in a bottle or something and see. I think it's like Miami and the Jets they're both in the same boat. Like put it this way, Miami and the Jets right now, they're just waiting for Arch Manning to come to for one of them to get him. So that's what they're banking on. So let's just get some. Let's both get quarterbacks that are just okay, that are mediocre, but that at least won't maybe win us some games, but maybe still lose, and we can get the number 1 pick, because that's what both the Jets and Miami are signaling to to both their fan base. So, but Malik Willis could be a streaming option. You never know.
A lot of sentences just to say,
yeah,
maybe.
Interesting. How, like, have you seen what they have as at the wide receiver position? Like Jalen Tolbert, like
Malik Washington,
Greg
Dulcich, for those Bronco fans, remember that bust pick there? Like, I feel bad for Devin Achane. Like, I'm thinking of just staying away from that mofo. That's how bad. I mean, he'll get all the catches underneath, but is he going to score any touchdowns? I don't know. That offense is bad. So, Stankorama. So let's get into something a little more fun. Let's talk about some running backs, and we'll talk about the Super Bowl MVP and Kenneth Walker III. He goes from Seattle to Kansas City. And so with Seattle, first 4 years, it racked up more than 3,500 yards with 31 total touchdowns. Walker now joins the Kansas City Chiefs on a 3-year, $43 million deal. The Chiefs didn't run the ball a lot last season, ranking 25th in the NFL in attempts and 21st in yards per carry. We'll go with Todd. Is this an upgrade for the Chiefs, and will Walker give fantasy owners a relevant running back for that team?
Oh, huge. I mean, Kansas City is going to lean heavily on Kenneth Walker on the third to running the ball, because we don't know yet how healthy Mahomes is going to be at the beginning of the season, or if he even is going to start at the beginning of the season. That was definitely a weakness they had. But obviously Kenneth Walker too does come with it comes with an injury concern too. I mean, injured a lot, but when he is on the field, he is explosive. He can catch and run catch and run. So that's obviously, very beneficial in fantasy. So dual threat as well. But the injury concerns definitely, you're definitely a little bit hesitant, but it is, I mean, you are going in a situation where he's going to be the guy. There's no one else that's going to be behind him. So, he's going to be the workhorse if they're going to help Mahomes early on in the season.
How are you feeling about Kenny Walker, who has kind of had his ups and downs throughout his career? I mean, last year averaged about 4.5 yards per carry, but then shared time with Charbonnet, so that kind of frees him up to kind of pick up a little more volume. We've seen season with him where he was averaging 3.7 yards per carry, and so that kind of gives you pause. Can he keep this going? Obviously, when you do it on the biggest stage, on the biggest game of the year, that's going to push everybody's recency bias and maybe push him up the rankings. Mikey, how are you feeling about Kenny Walker this season?
I'm completely on the exact opposite side of Todd.
Yeah, I figured. I knew you were kind of a non-Kenny Walker guy.
Well, it's not even that. It's just the situation doesn't make sense. Like him being a bell cow in a Andy Reid coach team in Kansas City with Mahomes at the quarterback. It's just not what they do. Like, they've never had a 1,000-yard running back with Mahomes as the quarterback there. Running backs have never scored double-digit touchdowns with Mahomes there.
But if Mahomes doesn't start, if Mahomes is still kind of, if Mahomes isn't still ready yet, or maybe maybe Andy Reid kind of, I don't know, does, to quote a Seinfeld reference, does the complete opposite because he wants to protect Mahomes a little bit more. So maybe he's, maybe like, we don't have a bell cow running back, but this year, for a little bit, just to kind of take some pressure off Mahomes, let's run the ball a little bit more.
I believe they'll run it a little bit more. I just don't. It's an Andy Reid thing because he was doing this in Philadelphia too, and their fans would get crazy because they don't run the ball. It's just what he does. He likes to throw, which is fine. But the problem there is like you said, well, Kenneth Walker's a dual threat. Like he's never had 300 yards receiving in a season. Like I would
Well,
argue that he's not really a dual threat.
Well, okay, I mean, good degrees, I think, of dual threat. I mean, not maybe, but like enough where it's like, all right, enough where you're like, you feel comfortable, playing him every week. But I agree with you. I agree with you in the sense of, yeah, I mean, it is an Andy Reid offense, but, they're going to do everything they can to, to take a little bit pressure off Mahomes a little bit, and where Mahomes isn't, doing everything, especially coming off an injury, because we always talk about players coming off major injuries. Is what is the mindset of teams in the offseason? They're like, okay, well, he's coming off a major injury. We need to do something so we can, take some of that load off of him, so he can, get more acclimated a little, just take his time a little bit. And if you can run the ball a little bit more and have a running back who is capable, yeah, I mean, maybe not 300 yards receiving, but a running back that's, that can shoulder the load a little bit more,
300 is not even that much. Like,
well, I'm just saying all I'm saying is just trying to, again, just take some of the pressure off Mahomes. So you can do it, because I think
I get it, and I'm not even saying that Kenneth Walker is a bad player. I just know if it comes down to first and goal, you're inside the 10. I know what the first option is, and it's
yeah,
not
it'll
Kenneth
be
Walker.
it's gonna be, yeah, it's either gonna be Mahomes to Kelsey or Mahomes is gonna just run it in himself. But I think that's where they're gonna be like, okay, let's ease him back in.
So there you go. Kenny Walker split on Kenny Walker. We'll get into rankings when we get to the running backs, but we'll keep going on with our next running back. And how about Travis Etienne or Achan? Is that how I'm supposed to say it, Miguel? Is Travis Achan?
Travis Achan.
Like, that's crazy. I mean, all right. I mean, everybody's been saying his name wrong, and I get it because Etienne looks like Etienne and doesn't look like anything like Achan, but that's how we're going to say it going forward. I mean, it may take Todd a few months to get to it, but
yeah, probably
figure it on
Travis
out.
Etienne.
Let's talk about the former Jaguars running back who signed with New Orleans, a $52 million deal over the next 4 years. Achan ran for more than 1,100 yards and scored 3 total touchdowns in 17 games last season. Todd, should we expect similar numbers in the Saints offense that seems to be on the rise these days?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, because Kamara's getting older, and that's one of the reasons why they went and got him. But, I mean, you have a second year quarterback. I don't know.
I thought you did your research here.
No, I did.
You were bragging how you did your resurge today, and
I did my research. But the reason I'm saying is again, it's team, because I always say teams are always going to stack the box. It's like, the quarterback isn't very good, so they're just going to run the ball. I'm kind of split on him because I wasn't a big. I'm going to say it right. I'm going to say his name right this time. Travis Etienne. There we go. What he did in Jacksonville, but I mean, they have him 6 touchdowns. I don't know. I'm maybe not a biggest Travis Achan fan.
Okay, so Todd's not on board. How are you feeling about the former Jaguars running back who, after what he spent 4 years there, averaged about 4.2 yards per carry, had 3 1,000-yard seasons, 10+ touchdown. He had 11 touchdowns in 2023. What do you think of what's the ceiling there for Achan this year?
I like him. I think they brought him in to be the quote running back for their team. I think Kamara still has a role because there's value in what he can do getting out of the backfield, catching passes. But I think their primary running back is going to be Travis Achan. So and this is an up and coming offense, young quarterback. We saw what Chris Olave did for them last year, which was great. I think there's a lot of value to Achan. I like his receiving role probably will go down a little bit. I mean, he wasn't like big time. He did have 6 receiving touchdowns in Jacksonville last year, which I think is
probably gonna
high.
come down. Yeah,
That'll come down with Kamara there, but yeah, I mean, I think I think he's a good player.
Yeah, he'll probably be around that 20, running back 20 kind of area. Maybe someone jumps on a little bit if they really feel Saints have got things moving in the right direction. Yeah, and I don't know how concerned I am about Kamara. I mean, he can't stay on the field, and he's just getting older. And so, in those moments when they need their playmaker to step up, and they paid Achan to do that, I wonder if Kamara is not going to be as important as maybe they want him to be. I could be just,
Well,
I just don't. I mean, what has Kamara really attributed when he's not hurt and what he's got to be in his 34, 35-year-old season? I'm not sure. I'll look it up now while you talk, but I don't know. I mean, this could be more of a bigger load than I think most people are giving him credit for.
Well, no, and I think that's kind of the point. Is like what you're saying is I think they want Kamara to be more of like a third down back. I mean, I think you can see them potentially being on the field at times at the same time, give you a different look. But I think the whole purpose of bringing in Achan was to give Kamara a break off of not being like a primary running back where they're running, because his effectiveness as an actual runner has gone like down.
Yeah, 3.6 yards per carry last year.
Yeah, so but he's still dangerous and explosive as a receiving back. So that's where he's going to make his way with Achan being the runner.
So let's go to another running back that has moved on from his previous place. We'll talk about David Montgomery, goes from Detroit to Houston, kind of now free of the shackles of Jahmyr Gibbs in Detroit, and will get the starting role in Houston. He will strap on that Texans uni after spending the last 3 years in Detroit. Guys, how are we feeling about Montgomery? He scored 33 touchdowns with the Lions. We'll start with Mikey this time.
I don't like it.
You don't like it? You don't like it?
I don't like it.
Okay, tell us why. I'd love to hear this.
So, like, I could argue that everything in this situation is worse for him. Like,
being the number one guy as opposed to number two is worse?
In a way.
Like, okay.
I think that playing next to Jahmyr Gibbs with a really good offensive line, good quarterback, good receivers in Detroit, allowed Montgomery to see lighter boxes. I think that going to Houston, who has one of the worst offensive line in the league with a shaky quarterback, they struggled so much to run the ball last year. Houston did, and yeah, they had real garbage for running backs. But Montgomery's getting a little bit older. I don't see it. I'm sorry, I just don't.
So the last couple of years, he's averaged about 170-ish rush attempts per game. Back in 2023, he had 219, ran for 1,000 yards at 13 touchdowns. I mean, this guy has scored 13, 12, and 8 touchdowns the last 3 years. And I guess maybe what are the expectations? What do you guys expect or for that? I mean, if I'm looking at fantasypoints.com and looking at their offensive line rankings, and Houston's 30th out of 32. And so obviously that's something that has hurt them in the past, not only for running, but we've seen CJ Stroud have some issues trying to find time just to throw the ball. And so, Todd, how are you feeling? Do you feel positive that he's out of there? If he gets 250 attempts and 30 receptions, is that good enough for you to have him as a number 2 or a number 3 running back?
I'm not, because again, the offensive line scares me, and even I think they're still high a little bit on Woody Marks as well too. Obviously I know they brought in Montgomery for a reason, but you're going from being paired with one of the best young running backs in the league now, and a great offensive line, to Houston, where offensive line is not very good. Our team's going to stack the box more to let CJ Stroud. I mean, we'll get into that when we do the quarterback podcast, but no, I'm not. I'm just, I don't know. I think Montgomery's going to hit a wall, and it's not going to be pretty.
So
go ahead, Mikey. Go for it.
I just want to preface one thing.
Yeah.
So while I don't like him, if I got him as a flex, then I would be okay, given the volume that I think he's going to get. I think from a flex, that's okay. I don't like him if I had to have him in there as like my 1 or 2 at running back.
So not your number 2, for sure. Not number 1, but unless you just had you went quarterback, wide receivers heavy, and then he's your number 2, then you're okay with it.
Yeah, or more. I would more like him as a flex.
Okay, I hear you. And so
he's a fringe.
So according to one site here, they have him projected for a little over 200 rush attempts for 900 yards and 10 rushing touchdowns. Is that something that's okay for your flex position?
I'd be jumping through hoops if he got to 10 rushing touchdowns. I just don't think he's going to get there.
All right, go ahead, Tom.
I was gonna say, Fans got him projecting 7, and I think that's being generous. But
okay. Quick question with David Montgomery, and we'll talk about him obviously, but I mean, is Gibbs set to have one of the best all-time fantasy seasons as the only running back available? Because I mean, I just mentioned to you how many touchdowns David Montgomery has scored the last 3 years. Does that mean Gibbs is going to get 20? Like, is his ceiling just otherworldly now? Yes or no?
Yes.
Mikey?
It should be.
A little
I know that's kind of a non-committal answer.
Okay, we'll talk about running backs in a few weeks. We'll get there. Let's go on to our next running back who's moved. The Steelers ran with 2 running backs last season, and they did really well. And as they ran Jalen Warren, Kenneth Gainwell, of course, myself, who helped ride those guys to the playoffs. Dowdle looks to be the guy to replace Gainwell, who ended up going to Tampa Bay. Pittsburgh signed Dowdle away from Carolina on a 2-year, $12.25 million deal. So if Dowdle is playing to fill those Gainwell shoes, look at Gainwell's numbers from last year: 537 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns, 4.7 yards per carry, 73 receptions, 486 yards and 3 touchdowns. Can Dowdle carry that type of load, Todd?
I believe so. I believe he can. I think he's going to, because it's going to be him and Jalen Warren, and I think Dowdle can rush for 1,000 yards, get close to 1,000 yards. I have him projecting 5 touchdowns. I say he at least gets 7 or 8 touchdowns, and I think Warren will. I mean, he'll probably snipe some of those goal line carries, but I think in the long run, I think Dowdle will be will contribute more when it comes to the receiving aspect of their offense.
So, Mikey, you heard the numbers on Dowdle from Todd. Some of the sites have him around the 20 to 25 area. Do you feel kind of the same? I mean, Dowdle has done well. He's averaged 4.6 yards per carry over his last 2 years, over 1,000 yards the last 2 years, one with Dallas, one with Carolina. I don't know if his receiving numbers are going to get to the Gainwell status of 73, but what do you think about Dowdle?
So I want to answer your question as it was worded.
All right, you appreciate that.
Because you said replace Gainwell.
Okay, fine. All right, yeah.
Or fill his shoes. So my answer to that is no. However, it's because they're 2 different players.
Okay.
So what I actually think is going to happen is I think it's going to be a role reversal. I think Jalen Warren actually replaces Gainwell, and Dowdle replaces Jalen Warren, if that makes sense.
No,
He's
it
the
makes
number
sense.
one
I'm just
guy.
trying to put that in my thought process, and they switch roles. And so in that case, and different sites have different views and rankings between Warren and Dowdle. Some have Warren before Dowdle, the other way around. Are you saying with Rico being the Jalen Warren of last year, should he be the first Steelers running back off the board?
Yeah, I would think so because I think Warren is the much better receiver than Dowdle. Dowdle's he's okay, but he's more of a runner. Like he's a tough dude. Like he's hard to tackle, running upright. Like I think the primary running back for the Steelers probably will be Dowdle, with Warren being kind of like that secondary who probably has like a career high in receptions because that's kind of what this offense is going to do with a old man that can't throw far. So I mean they're both going to be really really good options. Man,
I don't know what to think about it.
yeah, they're both going to be good.
I'm hoping to stay away from it, honestly.
See, I don't know if I want to stay away because like I think they both have value. Like I can see either one of them on my team, to be honest.
I mean, I had both Warren and Gainwell, as I mentioned, and it helped me out a ton. But then you bring in Michael Pittman into the fold in this mix. What is that offense going to look like? They have new offensive coordinator. Mike McCarthy's kind of the guy in there now. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to dig in a little bit more.
And Dowdle has the experience under McCarthy, and
that is true. I just saw that when I saw he was with Dallas before. Like, yeah, maybe. And he had 1,000 yards in one of those seasons, but only 2 rushing touchdowns, but 400-yard games. So we'll see how that all plays out. Okay, that's an interesting one for sure. Okay, rapid fire. How long are we into this podcast? We may have to pick up the pace. We're at 44 minutes. Oh gosh. There's not a lot to talk about with tight ends. So, okay. But Todd, talk about Rachaad White, who's now in Washington after, of course, spending a lot of time in Tampa Bay.
Wow.
I
guess he'll be the number one guy. I mean, they have a lot of running backs in there, and when you have that many, yeah, if he would have stayed in Tampa, I would have more to say, but no, it's a crowded backfield in Washington, and they have to figure it out. So I'm kind of staying away from him.
Okay, Mikey, we just talked about Kenneth Gainwell, who's now in Tampa, who fills the spot where Rachaad White is. Can he put up some PPR numbers to help fantasy owners? How are you feeling about Kenneth Gainwell?
He's not going to be as good as he was in Pittsburgh. Like, I don't want to say he goes completely back to being useless like he was in Philadelphia. Somewhere in between. I would take a low draft pick flyer on him, but not excited about him.
Okay, and the last guy we're going to talk about in terms of running backs will be Emmanuel Wilson, who's now with Seattle after spending time in Green Bay. You figured perhaps Wilson could have had an outside shot of taking over the number 1 spot if Charbonnet wasn't ready. But then, of course, we saw the Seahawks. They went ahead and drafted Jadarian Price, so that muddies the waters quite a bit. Although, if there's a chance that Price isn't ready and Charbonnet is also not ready, then this is a guy who ran for 4.5 yards per carry in 3 seasons in Green Bay. Could be a sneaky late-round pick. But that's something that's going to have to be decided as we see kind of the preseason go along. So Emmanuel Wilson, outside chance of maybe doing something the first few weeks of the season, maybe a month if Charbonnet's still not up to speed and Jadarian Price is not what everybody thought he was going to be. Because he did do some good things last year, but it's going to take a lot for him to get into that number 1 spot. All right, wide receivers. This one is driving me crazy. And I've always kind of been anti-AJ Brown. I don't know if that's the right word, but, of course, he heads to New England after spending his time in Philly. He's 29 years old. For AJ Brown, they sent him over to New England for a 2027 5th-round pick and a 2028 first-round pick. So Drake May gets a huge upgrade at wide receiver position after throwing to Stephon Diggs, Kayshon Boutte, Mac Hollins, and Demario Douglas. So after reaching 1,000 yards and 6 his last 7 years and scoring 57 total touchdowns. How are we viewing A.J. Brown to New England? Mikey, like I said, I am on the fence on this guy. He's not a big receptions guy, but he has put up some big-time touchdown totals. I mean, is this the guy? Is Drake May and A.J. Brown going to be one of the best connections we see in 2026?
It will be. He's going to have a great season this year.
Wow, okay.
And I'm not an AJ Brown guy, but this is the way that this works. Like AJ Brown, it's a brand new situation. He wanted out. He got exactly what he wanted. He went back to his old coach. It's everything right now is puppies and rainbows, and then in 2 years he'll be back to being a malcontent that's underperforming. But for now, first year in New England, he's with the perfect quarterback that fits his, the way he wants to play. Like Drake May is like a deep ball thrower and one of the best in the league at that. So yeah, AJ Brown, I expect to have a tremendous season this year. Where it goes from there, we'll see. But this year, I like him.
New England is what was last year 23rd in pass attempts, but as Mikey said, they love to throw the ball deep. They were first in yards per attempt, and that is exactly what AJ Brown likes to do. Todd, what are your thoughts about AJ Brown? This is a guy that's had 100 receptions or more season, but his yards and touchdowns have always been up there with the top guys.
He goes into a great situation. He's the number one guy. Obviously a great quarterback, so it definitely lines up for him to have a great season. So he's going to a perfect situation for himself. And it's obviously too, it comes down to making sure he gets the ball, because we've seen when he doesn't get the ball, he kind of cries a little bit. So but I think if I'm thinking about AJ Brown, am I thinking about him maybe in the late first round?
No.
No.
Good answer. I liked him. That's what I liked him.
That was going to be my next question. Some people have him as a top 15 wide receiver. Some have him as a top 10 wide receiver. Mikey, where do you have him at? I mean, I didn't tell you guys to have rankings, but if there's a feeling, is he more in the top 10 range or more in the top 15? In the wide receiver, not overall, in the wide receiver position.
He's probably, if he's in the top 10, he's at the back end.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, first round pick, no.
I'd be a little nervous in first round for sure, but I mean, everything I've read is super positive about it. And so the only real negative is if he starts complaining at some point, but he's going to get the ball. There's no one else to throw it to.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
At least that's on his level. Now, this is a team that has Ramondre Stevenson, that has Travion Henderson, and they can run the ball pretty well. But, I mean, I don't think that's going to change what they do in terms of throwing the ball. And he was so effective. And then Drake May, who was incredibly efficient last year, there's a lot of arrows pointing up for A.J. Brown. And so I'm trying to figure out where my heart lies. But what's that?
Disrespect for Romeo Dobbs.
Don't get out of here. We'll let Todd start off here with Jalen Waddle, of course, now in Denver after Miami. Boy, they gave up a lot to get him. Of course, we talked about the depth on this team in terms of Troy Franklin, Pat Bryant. Cortland Sutton's the number one guy, so we assume Waddle kind of falls into the number 2 area, but there's also Marvin Mims. So we've seen Bo Nix put up fantasy-worthy numbers. We've seen the ups and downs of Jalen Waddle, and I'm excited to hear what Mikey has to say, because I know Mikey was a Jalen Waddle guy early. But we'll start with Todd, because I know he was just desperately pushing for the Broncos to get that awesome number 2 wide receiver. Do the Broncos have it, and is he fantasy-worthy?
Oh, first of all, the Broncos went out and did something. They identified a problem, and it was the wide receiver core, and they went and fixed it. Phenomenal. This is phenomenal. This is what you do, because we were one Bo Nix broken ankle away from the Super Bowl. So this was amazing. This was amazing. And now, say it now, but Jalen Waddle will be a top 10 wide receiver. That's a bold prediction. You can Eric, you can put that in your notes already for when we do bold predictions. But I'm I'm putting that as a bold prediction. But Jalen Waddle, like especially in this offense, and knowing he can stretch the field, this is, and again, and I talk about it all the time. We always compare players, but this is our Emmanuel Sanders. And Eric, Eric, I know he's your favorite Bronco of all time, but he will stretch the field. He will. Now I understand that Cortland Sutton is the number one, but I think when it comes down to it, Waddle will take over that number one role for Bo Nix. They have him for 6 touchdowns. I think he easily gets 10 or 11. I think they're going to force feed him the ball. They know what Jalen Waddle can do, and this is why they brought him in. And obviously, we gave up a lot, but story for a different day. But the bottom line is, I mean, and they have him for he gets over 1,000 yards yards receiving, and at least 10 or 11 touchdowns. That's how high I'm on Jalen Waddle. Come at me. Let's go.
Well, Todd, that he has stamped his approval for Jalen Waddle and fantasy owners. Top 10 wide receiver. Mikey, do you agree?
Here it comes.
How many catches do you think he's going to get, Todd? Because I'm just thinking, like, top 10, you can't just be like, at 1,000. That's not going to get you a top 10. Like,
well, I said over 1,000, but catches, 77 receptions. He gets at least 100 and I'll say 130.
See, I did that on purpose, Eric, because I just wanted to hear
it. Oh man, I needed a good laugh today. 130 receptions.
It's exaggerating a little bit. Okay, fine. Like at least like 110. All right, that sounds that still is a bold prediction, but doesn't sound outrageous. Like I just said, 130. So 110 catches.
So this will be our, I guess, first opportunity on a board bet.
Yep.
Does Jalen Waddle end up as a top 10 wide receiver? Todd says yes. Mikey, you say no.
I say no.
I say no as well. So,
so
Mikey, give me the realistic outlook on Jalen Waddle in 2026.
Honestly, like I don't think it's much different than what his career says. Like, can he get to 1,000? Sure. He's never like really had double-digit touchdowns, so not saying it can't happen, but I think the likelihood is that it doesn't. He's not getting to 110 receptions. I'd be willing to be pretty confident on that. My guess is he probably is in the 70s range. Cortland Sutton, to me, is still going to end up being like the number one. I don't think his role changes. So, like, Sean Payton's offense, like, it's kind of always the same. That big body dude is always the number one. Nothing really changes for Sutton. I think he's going to get his stats. Bo Nix was like the top. He had more passing attempts than any quarterback in the league last year, and they didn't lose anybody. And so you're now adding in Waddle. I don't know how he gets to 110 with that, but go figure. I have a feeling all these guys, Bryant, Franklin, Mims, Evan Ingram, all these guys are going to be involved. Plus, we're going to try and run the ball better. If we are a better offense and we're ahead, we're not going to be throwing it 50 times in the fourth quarter like we did last year. So mathematically, I'm just trying to make it work, Todd. That's all. That's why I don't.
I respect the math. I respect it, but I mean, I don't know how to do math anyway, but I respect the math nonetheless. But yeah, but I think Waddle, I think he's going to ball out for sure.
Now, if you told me Bo Nix was going to throw for 5,000 yards, I'd be like, okay, well, then maybe there's an opportunity Waddle gets there. I don't know if that happens, though.
I mean, Mikey has talked about it many times on the show in terms of what Peyton's offense is like, and it's about spreading the wealth. I think unless you were Michael Thomas in 2019, it had 149 receptions. And then Michael Thomas in 2018 had 125. And so, but every other year is Colston 75. Kenny Stills 32 in 2013. And then Kenny Stills 63 and 59. And Brandon Cooks 53. So they like to spread it around. So it's hard for me to think, unless Sutton goes down, I don't even know if he gets anywhere that close. I mean, this was a question I was going to ask you guys, but I think Mike, you mentioned it, but I think Todd obviously said it was like, who's going to go first, Sutton or Waddle? Because I think it depends on people's vantage point. Obviously, Todd saying Waddle based on top 10, unless you figure Cortland Sutton's going to have a better season than Waddle's numbers that you just mentioned.
Waddle will go first. That's a different conversation.
Really?
Yeah, I believe Waddle will go first.
Todd, you just said Waddle's getting 130 catches. Is Cortland Sutton getting 140?
No,
what was that about?
No, he's not. No, because it's gonna be all Waddle. It's gonna be all Waddle.
All right. That just
yeah.
That was like, oh, I don't agree with that. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The excitement around Waddle will get people to draft him over Sutton first.
Okay. So that's okay.
But so, like I said, I think they're going to be relatively close in points. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think Waddle will go first. Sutton, I think, will still have his same role.
Okay, well,
if that happens, I'd rather have Sutton.
Okay, see, that's what I wanted out of you. It's like, what are you doing? Are you picking Sutton first, or you're picking Waddle first? You're saying you're picking Sutton.
Yeah, because I think Waddle's going to go earlier than maybe he should.
But if they're both sitting there for you, you're picking Sutton.
That's a tough question to answer.
All right. Well, we're already at like an hour, so we're gonna keep moving here. Okay. We'll talk more about Sutton and Waddle once we get to the wide receivers. That I am floored by Todd, but I'm kind of floored by Mikey too. All right, Mike Evans, Tampa Bay to San Francisco. Evans has taken his Hall of Fame career over to the Bay Area, and after spending 12 years in Tampa Bay, he signed as a free agent. 3 years, $42.5 million. Evan joins Brock Purdy and wide receiver core of Ricky Pearsall, Christian Kirk, and I don't know what's going on with Brandon Ayuk, but I doubt he's going to be there. How do we feel about Mike Evans, who immediately jumps to the top of Brock Purdy's wide receiver options? Mikey, go.
I think he's right in line with where he normally is at for his career. He'll be right around 1,000. He'll have a chance at double-digit scores because he's such a big red zone threat. Catches will be kind of, he's always in that like 60 to 70 range.
Yeah, he's averaged 74 the last 3 years. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of that changes. And as far as competition goes, we don't know if Kittle's going to be ready to start the season. We've been waiting for Pearsall for 2 years already. We'll see if anything ever happens with that. Christian Kirk's average, and Brandon Ayuk's never going to play in the NFL again. I don't know. I think that's a bold prediction. He's just an idiot.
Yeah,
so
sure.
True that.
Yeah, I think Evans was brought in to take, some load off of McCaffrey so that he doesn't get run into the ground.
I agree. After doing my research, I like Mike Evans. I didn't think I was going to like him as much, but if he stays healthy, he's got a good chance to do some good stuff there. Todd, Michael Pittman, Indianapolis to Pittsburgh. The one's Colt now will be catching pass from Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, DK Metcalf still in the mix. How are you feeling about Pittman in Pittsburgh?
Well, obviously, the touchdowns are definitely going to go down because obviously with Metcalf there now, I think he's going to have a little bit of a down year. I mean, they have him 860 yards, receiving only 4 touchdowns. That's just because again it's with Metcalf, there. The touchdowns are definitely going to be cherry picked a little bit there. So I see as Pittman is more as a mid-round wide receiver, maybe finishing maybe a top 25 wide receiver, or actually go top 20 wide receiver for me. So if he's there in the maybe the 7th or 8th round, and he's there, I take a flyer on him because I'd probably draft Metcalf first before I draft Pittman first.
Well, I don't go in too deep in terms of the numbers. Okay. I know you said top 20. He'll probably top 20 wide receivers go before the 7th round. But Mikey, talk about DJ Moore going to Buffalo from Chicago. In the past, you haven't been a DJ Moore guy, but it sounds like in some conversation we have that you're in on this.
I'm not 10 toes in, but you know, the water's a little warm. I'm trying to, I'm into it a little bit. Like Buffalo's been trying to replace what they lost with Diggs 2 years ago. They haven't been able to figure out and find that weapon on the outside. They've been trying with like dinosaurs like Amari Cooper and Brandon Cooks, and at least DJ Moore can still play a little bit. Like, I think in a good offense like Buffalo has, like, look, DJ Moore was getting cut in the middle of the season in our league last year.
Yes,
like he was bad last year. I think this is a nice little bounce back spot.
Todd, talk about Romeo Doubs, who's now in New England. That probably has a number 2 wide receiver with Drake May, and of course the guy that just got over there, AJ Brown.
Yeah, I'm not really high on Doubs. I mean, okay, he's he obviously is going to be the number 2 wide receiver in New England, but I'm not really too high on him. Because at times when he was in Green Bay, it was up and down. He had ups and downs. There'd be one week where he'd score like 2 touchdowns and in a game or something like that, and then next week you wouldn't even he'd disappear. So not really too high on him. I mean, he's a little bit of an upgrade of what they had with the other wide receivers, but not really too high on Doubs.
I'll quickly talk about Wan'Dale Robinson, who's now in Tennessee after spending time with the Giants. Do you guys know where Wan'Dale Robinson finished in our rankings last year?
I know it was high. He had a lot of catches.
14th.
Yeah.
14th. He had 92 receptions and 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns on 140 targets. Now, that's obviously going to change because he ended up having to be kind of the number 1 guy after Malik Neighbors went down. But, of course, the situation changes. However, Brian Dable, who he spent time with in New York, is where Tennessee now is their offensive coordinator. We'll see if that kind of helps keep that going. He had 90-plus receptions 2 years ago as well. I don't think it's going to be the same situation, but it's someone in a PPR league who could be a good flex option. Okay, tight ends. Here's the guys that moved, and if you guys want to talk about one of them, make it quick. Isaiah Likely ends up going free from Mark Andrews in Baltimore and goes over to the Giants. David Njoku, one of Todd's guys, Cleveland, where he was initially, now with the Chargers. And Chiga Okonkwo from Tennessee to Washington. I'll say Zach Ertz thrived when Jaden Daniels was healthy. I think Okonkwo could too. Todd, you want to say anything about any of these guys?
David Njoku going to the Chargers is interesting. I mean, obviously what he did in Cleveland with kind of mediocre quarterback play, but going maybe to a little bit go into a situation with a better quarterback. Could take a flyer on him.
Well, Rondé Gadsden's still there, and he did some fantasy stuff, so I'll be interested to see how that kind of works out. Mikey, you want to say anything about these 3 tight end moves?
Ugh, you know how much I hate tight ends.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, Likely had some, weeks where he kind of spiked in Baltimore, and so he's a really big dude that can catch the ball. We'll see what happens. I'm not the biggest of Jackson Dart fans, but he may be worth a look.
Well, there you have it. We're well over an hour, so we probably should get out of here pretty quick. Todd, what's on next week's show?
Oh, the best podcast of all the podcasts, the Rookie Podcast. Oh yeah, that is the. I think it is. It's going to be very, very interesting because the one player that we're going to talk about is probably going to be on top of our rankings for rookies just in general in all the positions will be how much love will Jeremiah Love get? Will he go high? Will he go low? Will he even get drafted at all? You'll just have to find out on the next podcast.
Mikey, you excited about some rookies? There's any rookies that intrigue you? You don't have to tell me anybody. You excited about them?
I feel like we do this every year with this running back in the first round or second round thing. Then they always disappoint.
And they
So
disappoint.
yeah, let's overhype. That's what I'm looking forward to.
They haven't failed yet, so people are excited to talk about them. Well, 25 years, folks. Hopefully, we're going to celebrate this year as best we can, have some more owners on as we go through. We'll definitely let you guys know. But episode 1 of the 25th year of the MHA, and of course, this MHA podcast in the books. We'll see you next time as we talk about rookies. Eric Lansing, Todd Diamond, Mikey Renault. We'll see you next time.